Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Ben Shalom here in Manchester. Not far away from the draw for the next boxer tournament. Excitement building now?
Yeah, it's a great venue, great to be back in Manchester, and the cruiserweights is always, I think, the best division to do a tournament in. We did one last year in Manchester. Kell Brook came out the winner in that one, but the knockouts, I think it's almost better than the heavyweights because they can move faster, they still have that power, and 6 out of the 8 are unbeaten here today. You can see them all sort of sizing each other up, as Fraser was saying there, and yeah, it's definitely a big night in store on Saturday.
We saw our first knockout in the boxer tournament since they returned with Cheema in Coventry. Is it safe to say we can expect more on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think we've yet to be disappointed by one. Obviously, we had Corey Gibbs win out in Liverpool, then we had Cheema in Coventry, and they're both now got contracts with us. They're now both fighting on Sky Sports. That's what can happen. There's so many talented fighters in British boxing, like at every level, that just struggle for the opportunities, that haven't maybe come into the sport late, that maybe haven't gone to the Olympics, and just are sort of waiting for those chances. I think there's a lot of promoters now with much more global interest and different things, and we've got to remember there's a lot of talent in Britain and they need opportunities, and that's why we're here today. And there's 6 of them, as I say, that haven't lost before, and that just shows how much opportunities are needed.
For Dylan in particular, obviously he won the tournament just a few weeks ago down in Coventry. When are we expecting to hear some more plans about Dylan?
Dylan, I think, will be out June 25th. We're going to announce sort of a regional series that we're doing. Cheema will be out, Corey Gibbs will be out. A lot of Birmingham fighters now suddenly coming to the forefront, and Dylan's one of them. I think a lot of people were surprised. I was surprised that he managed to get the win, but he looked fantastic, and he's got all the tools to go very, very far. Obviously, he's in the same division as our sort of noted superstar as Adam Azim, and he's got a huge following from like the Punjabi Sikh community. I mean, his fan base is enormous. We've seen since he won that tournament a lot of interest, and yeah, really looking forward to get him going. And I think again that's why the tournaments are great. No one would have picked up Cheema. No normal promoter would have, or even myself would have uncovered Dylan, and that's what the tournaments do. And maybe we'll see another one on Saturday.
I know you spoke yesterday to Joe extensively about Ben Whittaker and what a great signing he was, but just in terms of the GB talent in general that you've been able to pick up, how exciting is that for you that you've managed to get so many names from the GB squad on board?
Amazing. Obviously, we don't have many contracted fighters at the start. October was our first date, and so to be here now 6 months later and have attracted our targets really, Fraser, Karis, Lauren, Caroline, and then Ben. We think that the futures of the sport. I said yesterday, the Sky Machine can build anyone up to be a superstar, but you've got to be confident when they get to those championship rounds, when they get to those world titles, that they can do it. But I think Ben in particular, if you speak to anyone that's been around him, and forget what he says, he's an extremely talented fighter and probably the best, I would say, best light heavyweight in the country already. I really believe that. I think he's going to go right to the very top, and we just got to guide him in the right way, and he's going to be a superstar, and that's why a lot of promoters were after him. But yeah, he's one of many now talented fighters that we've managed to sign, and it sets us up for a really exciting couple of years. We've got to build these guys, we've got to grow with them, and yeah, delighted to have him on board.
Does it really show that the pull of Sky is still absolutely massive, even obviously since the split with Matchroom, that the fighters are really still wanting to be there, and the best young fighters in the world are coming to Boxer on Sky Sports? I
think so. I think, admittedly, when we first came in, there were a lot of doubts. Can they put on a pay-per-view show? Can they put on a good schedule? Can they put on big shows? And we had to answer all of those questions, and that's why I think a lot of the fighters took their time. We spoke to them in the summer, and they didn't really know who we were, what we were going to do. Obviously, they'd seen the tournaments, but Eddie and Frank are proven products, and we had to really fight hard to make them believe that this was the best place. You know, it's a short career boxing, and you've got to be really confident that you make the right decisions. And you've got to respect that, and we've been patient, and we've been able to show it every month that we can deliver. And now we're in a position where we feel like we will attract the best talent out there, especially if they're out of contract. We feel we're the obvious choice.
A couple more things I want to quickly quiz you about. Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields. Clarissa saying that there was a press conference set up a couple of weeks ago to announce that. Are we any further along to seeing that coming soon?
Yes. both fighters have agreed. I think Savannah, to be honest, did pick up a small injury, and that's what sort of delayed it. We need to get a date that fits both of them, and Savannah's just wanted or needed a little extra time. Clarissa's been understanding of that. We think after seeing Taylor Serrano in New York the other day, it was a huge fight for women's boxing, really well promoted, and we think we've got an absolute monster on our hands with those two, with UK versus US, and the whole history with it as well, and such an unpredictable fight. But that fight's definitely next for both of them. It's just about choosing the date now, choosing the right venue. But again, it has been delayed because of a little injury that Savannah did pick up.
And just finally on some comments from Kalle Sauerland, I'm not sure if you've seen them. He said that boxer dicked him around. They're the words from Kalle himself regarding a possible fight between Chris Eubank Jr. And Kell Brook. Anything you can say on those negotiations?
Look, he wanted the fight massively. He wanted it with Kell. At the end of the day, it probably wasn't the right fight for Kell. And they pushed for it, and they pushed for it. We tried our best. But at the end of the day, if Kell wants to retire, and that's just how it is. I think Chris Eubank Jr., for me, he's a talented enough fighter to be going for world titles, not be chasing Kell Brooks or fighters perhaps coming to the end. And, you know, they wanted us to try our best, and we did, and we got agreed on the weights. But in the end, the commercials went on too long, and Kell was adamant as to what he wanted for the fight to happen, and in the end, with 3-4 months since February the 19th, and he wants to retire, and I think fair play to him, and yeah, definitely no dicking around. We want the best for Chris Eubank Jr. I think Kalle is obviously he's frustrated because it's hard to match Chris at the moment. You've got Golovkin and Canelo, you've got Billy Joe not around anymore. The world titles are sort of tied up, but that's why we think the obvious fight perhaps is Janibek for the world title, or Liam Smith, but that's where Chris should be focusing in his energy. I don't think he should be focusing it on Kell Brook, and I believe he personally is, and I think he knows that this is his time to really prove to everyone that he is an elite fighter, that he's improved, and he can get his world championship.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ben. Really appreciate it.